Hello everyone and welcome to the second lesson involving the rhythm fundamentals. Our last lesson, the very first one, we were introduced to all the different kinds of notes and how they relate to each other. Your whole notes, your half notes, your quarter notes, your eighth notes, and even 16th notes. Today we're going to be talking about how we're going to use them in things called time signatures, and we're also going to be talking about something called measures. So here we go, let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about are measures. In music, measures serve to group rhythms together to kind of help the reader or the musician or whoever to understand them or organize them better in their head. Just imagine for a second if you're reading a book and that book happened to not have any single period marks in them, so there's no sentences. It's just a stream of words, one right after the other for the entire book. That would be very hard to understand and very hard to read. Measures kind of work the same way. You have rhythms in music. Measures help organize those rhythms to kind of chunk them together so you're thinking of only a few rhythms at a time as you go. So it's kind of an organizational thing. Alright, so here I just wrote in two measures, and those measures are separated and defined by those vertical lines called bar lines, or just bars. So measures are the space in between the bar lines, and the bar lines is what separates and divides the measures from each other. The next thing we have to think about is, okay, so we have our two measures here, or however many you may have. You got to be thinking, how many beats do I want in each measure? And I could give you a long-winded definition about what beats are in music, but luckily for you, I'm going to spare you. I'm just going to give you a short definition. Think of beats as a musical pulse. If you've ever heard someone go 1, 2, ready, go, what they're snapping, those are beats. Okay, they're kind of like the next smallest unit of rhythm from measures. Beats equally divide measures up. You can either have 2 beats in a measure, or 3, or 4, or 5, so on and so forth. You can actually have 64 beats in a measure if you really wanted to, but you would never see that. And then once you figure out how many beats you want to have in each measure, you're going to represent that with a number at the very start of your music. So if you wanted 4 beats, you would put a 4 here. Or if you wanted 3 beats, then you'd change that to a 3. 2 would be 2, obviously, so on and so forth. And this number is 1/2 of what we call a time signature. Alright, so that's 1/2 of our time signature, so what's the other half? Well, you may have noticed that this has been here the whole time, and sorry that I did not finish the rhythm chart, but just for the sake of space, I just, branched just that right side there. But yeah, whole, half, quarter, eighths, and 16th notes. 2 halves equal a whole note. 2 quarters equal a half note, so on and so forth. That's what we did in the last lesson. Anyway, the bottom number, the one that will go here, that's going to tell us which one of these notes we're going to assign as the beat. So let's say we want 4 beats in these measures. Does that mean that we're going to use we're going to have four whole notes in each measure, 4 half notes in each measure, 4 quarter notes, 4 eighth notes, or 4 16th notes, right? So let's say we wanted to have whole notes as our beat. So that time signature would be 4 1, and then you would see 4 whole notes in each measure. If you wanted half notes, it'd be 4 2, and then you'd have 4 half notes. If you wanted chord notes, it'd be 4 4. If you wanted eighth notes, it'd be 4 8. And then lastly, if you wanted 16th notes, it'd be 4 16. Just to let you know, the first big chunk of these videos, you're going to see quarter notes as the kind of notes that are assigned the beat. Okay, so you're going to get used to that, but just always be aware and always know that any of these notes can be assigned the beat, not just quarter notes, okay? Something really important to remember for the videos later on in, say, level 2 and 3. Okay, so we got these 2 measures of music here. What would this even start to sound like? Well, let me introduce something called a metronome. And what a metronome does is pretty much just keep the beat going for us. Here's the metronome. Okay, so each of those clicks is worth a beat. And because we have this 4 telling us that we're assigning quarter notes as the beat, In this case, that also means that each click is worth one quarter note. So that would go quarter, 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 quarter. So I just played those two measures of quarter notes there. Instead of saying quarter, I like to say ta. Here's that. Ready? Go. Ta, 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 ta. Well, like I said earlier, I think in the last lesson, music would be really boring if you just only had one kind of note to work with. So let's introduce a half note. I want you to look at this rhythm chart here and see that 2 quarter notes equal a half note. So that means that half notes last twice as long as quarter notes do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change some of these quarter notes in these 2 measures here into half notes. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, so there's our half notes. And then notice when I perform this, as the metronome is going on, hear how I'm holding those for 2 beats worth now. 1, 2, here I go. Ta, 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 ta. Okay, these are worth 2 beats each when the quarter note is the beat. All right, let me give you another example using half notes. Okay, so this time the quarter note is here and here. The half notes are here and here. This particular half note starts on the second beat, okay, but it's still going to be worth 2 beats long. So here's how this would sound. 2, here I go. Ta, 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 ta. Okay, and then the last kind of note I want to talk about today is the whole note. We're going to get to 8th and 16th notes later on in lessons down the road. So whole notes, I want you to take a look at something. 4 quarter notes equal 1 whole note. Okay, so if quarter notes are our beat in these 2 measures, that means I can only fit 1 whole note in each measure, since they're worth 4 quarter notes each. So this is what that's going to look like. Okay, and then notice what these sound like when I perform them. I'm going to hold those out for 4 beats each. 1, 2, here I go. Ta, ta. There you have it. Not the most exciting rhythm of all time, but that's how those whole notes work. They're worth 4 beats each because the quarter note is assigned the beat. All right, folks, here's the last slide. And, well, what do we have here? We got, let's see, we have a 4/4 time signature. So that means that there's 4 beats in a measure, and the quarter note is assigned the beat. But where's our bar lines? There's no vertical, there's no measures to tell us how many beats are in each measure. So this is actually what I'm going to have you do for your worksheet. I'm going to give you something like this, just a line of rhythms that aren't divided into measures, and you got to tell me where the bar line should be. So let's just do this one together as practice. So keep in mind, when the quarter note is your beat, that means whole notes are worth 4 beats, half notes are worth 2 beats, and then, of course, quarter notes are worth 1 beat each. All right, so here we go. Remember, we have to have 4 beats in each measure. So when we get to 4 beats worth, that's where our first bar line is going to be. So let's see. This quarter note's worth 1. This half note's worth is 2, so that's 3 total. This quarter note makes 4, so that means that that bar line goes there. There's 4 beats. The next thing we have is a whole note. That's worth 4 beats, so it gets its own measure, so the bar line goes after that. Let's see. This half note is worth 2. This is worth 1. This is worth 1. So 2 plus 1 plus 1 is 4. So the bar line goes here. Let's see. Then we got 4 quarter notes. They're each worth 1 beat each. So the next bar line will go after that 4th quarter note. And then lastly, we got 2 half notes. 2 beats plus 2 beats equals 4. So as you would probably imagine, the last bar line is at the end. So there are measures. There's our bar lines. There are 4 beats in each of these measures using a combination of these whole notes, half notes, and quarter notes. Okay, and I think that's just going to about do it for this lesson. So good luck on your worksheets where you're doing this kind of thing on your own. Let me know, find me out if you want extra help. Other than that, good luck, and we'll see you guys next video.